I caught my fiancée sexting her ex about how much she misses him, so I called off the wedding, ghosted her, and moved on. I'm a 26-year-old guy, and she's 27. Let's call her Sarah. We were supposed to get married next month, but everything fell apart when I found out what she was doing. We'd been together for over 4 years, and last summer she brought up the idea of marriage. Honestly, it caught me off guard. It wasn't that I didn't love her. I did, but I just hadn't thought about marriage yet. When she mentioned it, I thought, why not? I loved her. We'd been dating for so long, and it felt like the next step. So we planned a spring wedding for this year. I even bought her a ring at the start of the year, and she gave me one too on Valentine's Day. I thought everything was perfect until I found out it wasn't. Sarah had gone on a 2-day work trip, and I was working from home. We share a home computer, since her job doesn't allow her to use personal email on her work laptop. I usually work on my own laptop or tablet, so I rarely touch the shared PC. But that day my laptop crashed, so I had no choice but to use it. While I was working, I noticed her email was open in another tab. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then I saw a new message pop up with the name Leo. Leo is her college ex. She told me they broke up years ago because he moved back to his home country. When we started dating, I'd asked her if she still talked to him, and she said no. I believed her and didn't think much of it. Seeing his name now, curiosity got the better of me. I clicked on the email, and that's when my world came crashing down. The email thread was long, and her messages were explicit. She talked about missing him every day, about how she thinks of him when she's alone, and even about their past intimate moments. She wrote in detail about things she wanted him to do, to her things she claimed she didn't like when we were together. It was disgusting. It felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't believe the woman I loved could do something like this behind my back. 2 days ago, she had emailed him saying she didn't know why she was marrying me when I couldn't compare to him. I couldn't breathe reading that, and the same day she had told me I was amazing in bed and how much she loved me. Was it all a lie? I couldn't believe it. I sat there frozen, not knowing what to do. Should I wait for her to come home and confront her, or should I just leave and never look back? The rage inside me was unbearable. I hadn't told anyone yet, not my friends or my family. All I knew was that our wedding was a month away, and I had no idea how to face the truth or what to do next. I couldn't stop thinking about what I had just read. My emotions were all over the place. 1 minute, I felt like waiting for her to come home so I could confront her. The next, I wanted to pack my things and disappear. I had never been this angry in my life. I sat in the same chair for hours, just staring at the screen, replaying everything in my head. It was like a bad dream I couldn't wake up from. Eventually, I realized that sitting there wasn't helping. I had to act. I decided, ghost her. There was nothing left to say after reading those emails. I didn't need an explanation. I didn't need excuses. I knew enough. Before leaving, I downloaded the emails and forwarded them to my phone. I also printed them, just in case. The first thing I did was change the locks on the house. Then I packed up my stuff, booked a cheap motel, and moved out. I also packed all her belongings and sent them to storage. I left the storage receipt at the front door for her to find. Next, I deleted her contacts and photos from the home computer and removed my share of the money from our joint wedding account. I canceled the wedding venue, the photographer, and the caterer, getting partial refunds where I could. Over the next 2 days, she kept calling and texting me. At first, it was casual, like nothing was wrong. She said she had lost all her contacts and photos on her phone, and that her backup wasn't working. Then she started asking why I wasn't answering her calls. Her messages turned frantic. Are you okay? Why are you ignoring me? What's going on? She even contacted my parents and my brother to ask if I was all right. My mom called me immediately, worried. I told her not to say anything to Sarah and promised I would explain everything in person. My family has always supported me, and they agreed to give me time to figure things out. When Sarah came back from her trip, she found the house locked and her key didn't work. She must have been furious because she called me non-stop, leaving voicemail after voicemail. Some messages were desperate, begging me to talk to her and fix things. Others were angry, accusing me of cheating or running away. It was almost laughable. After what she had done, she had the nerve to act like I was the bad guy. Eventually, I blocked her. She had hurt me enough, and I wasn't going to let her do it anymore. After blocking Sarah, I decided to take some time to myself. I stayed at the motel and worked remotely. The place was quiet, tucked away in a remote part of town, and it helped me clear my head. I spent my days walking through the nearby woods and sitting by an abandoned lake. It was like nature therapy, and for a while, I thought I was starting to heal. He told me he'd always thought she was wife material and never suspected a thing. Talking about it brought up all the pain again. I felt miserable and exhausted, but at the same time, it was a relief to let people know I wasn't hiding anymore. One thing I hadn't canceled yet was our honeymoon to Alaska. It was a non-refundable trip, and since it was already paid for, I decided to go. I thought a change of scenery might help me move on. But I was worried Sarah might show up too, since she had access to the trip details. To be safe, I deleted her inbox so she couldn't find them. So here I am, sitting in a cozy cabin, surrounded by the beauty of Alaska. The trip is peaceful, and for the first time in weeks, I feel a bit of relief. Writing this down helps too. It feels like I'm leaving some of the pain behind with each word. Life has a strange sense of humor. Just when I thought I was getting some peace, I bumped into Sarah. Yes, she followed me all the way to Alaska. I was walking in a quiet area when I saw a figure approaching me. At first, I didn't think much of it, but as she got closer, I realized it was her. My heart sank. She kept following me, ranting about how I had abandoned her and ruined our wedding. She said we could have worked things out if I had just talked to her. She even started crying, saying she loved me and needed to have a baby before she turned 30. It was absurd. I finally stopped and told her to leave me alone. She refused and said I needed to hear her side of the story. I told her there was nothing to explain. But she kept begging, so I gave in and told her to talk. Her excuse was ridiculous. She claimed the emails with Leo didn't mean anything, and that it wasn't real cheating because they never physically met. She said she was just having fun and trying to spice things up. She even winked and tried to joke about it. That was the last straw. I told her I didn't care about her explanations. She had mocked me, lied to me, and betrayed me. I told her I had lost all respect and love for her, and that there was no going back. She started sobbing and begged for another chance. She said she had invested so much time in our relationship and that she didn't want to start over. She kept repeating that she hadn't physically cheated, as if that made it okay. I told her to stay away from me and threatened to report her if she followed me again. She finally broke down completely, collapsing to the ground and wailing. I didn't look back. I just walked away. After that encounter, I headed straight back to the resort. I had an early flight home, and I spent the last few hours packing and reflecting on everything that had happened. Strangely, I felt a sense of relief. That confrontation gave me closure, even though I wasn't looking for it. I realized I didn't need to carry the weight of her betrayal anymore. I could leave it all behind, just like I planned. Once I got back, I decided to move out of the house permanently. It was too big for one person anyway. I canceled the lease and started looking for a smaller apartment. I'm also thinking of continuing to write about my experiences. Journaling has been a good outlet for my emotions, and it feels therapeutic to put my thoughts into words. As for Sarah, I don't think she'll try to come back into my life after this. Even if she does, I'm done. I'm moving forward. I have learned to value my self-respect, and I know I deserve better.